Instead, I'm going to talk about Playboy magazine because today the interview appeared. I got it on the internet. It was sent to me by the company to my producer. And I started to read it. Some of it's good. Some of it's unfair. You know, what did I expect? Playboy interviewing Michael Savage? Did you expect him to make me look good? They tried their best to make me look bad. But I'm going to ask you who looks worse, me or the editor, David Hochman. I want to quote the beginning of the article, Michael Savage Playboy interview. I'm going to read from it today. And I want to ask you something. Listen to what the editor of this article writes at the bottom of his introduction. Contributing editor David Hochman spent more than 16 hours interviewing Savage, says Hochman, quote, I can't remember a more difficult interview. Savage was a fine host, but his opinions are extreme to the point of being poison. Much of the time I hated him. He's maddeningly bullheaded and closed-minded, but he was just as leery of me. Even when we were laughing, I knew he was thinking, liberal vermin media. I got to tell you, I didn't once think liberal vermin media, David. In fact, I'm so naive, I thought that I liked you, and I thought you liked me. What you have here is a classic portrait of a paranoid, deceptive, backstabbing liberal who pretended he was a nice guy. Never once did he seem disagreeable to me. I didn't think that we agreed politically, but I didn't think he'd go out of his way to try and stick a knife in me. I mean, he only stuck it in himself. He says, even when we were laughing, I knew he was thinking liberal vermin media. I didn't think it once. Now I do. Now I do. Now I'm even doubly sure that everyone in the liberal vermin media is a liberal and a vermin. I didn't think it once. So let's begin at the beginning. Michael Savage Playboy interview. And he writes this. Shall I begin from the beginning? Two kinds of people listen to talk radio in 2010. Those who think Michael Savage is a nut job and those who think he's right. The Savage Nation has his daily broadcast reaches an estimated 8 million to 10 million listeners a week. And even his haters admit the show is like radio crack and wildly unpredictable. 1 minute Savage is railing against illegal immigration or advocating work camps for the homeless. The next he's getting misty over a Walt Whitman couplet or cuddling his poodle Teddy. Savage abhors whiny liberalism and the Prius elite, even as he plays up his lefty credentials. A Ph.D. from Berkeley, years of association with tree huggers, gays, and beatniks, and a home base in the San Francisco Bay Area. But he's just as hard on conservatives. Ask him, if you dare, about Dubya or Glenn Beck. Savage likes to call himself an independent-minded individualist. First of all, that whole paragraph makes no sense. You're telling me that a Ph.D. from Berkeley makes me into a liberal? You mean nobody who has achieved a Ph.D. from Berkeley could possibly be a conservative? Don't you see the bias in the minds of these people? Then he says, and guess where he lives? The San Francisco Bay Area. You'd think I'm the only person in the San Francisco Bay Area who thinks this way. What world do these people live in? So then he talks about me and he talks about my family, even though I specified in the beginning, do not bring my family into it, and he agreed to it. But, you know, it's like the scorpion and the frog. He was the scorpion, I was the frog. What did I expect? The problem here for him is that he tried to sting me and he got stung by his own poison. So let's begin at the beginning. Playboy, why are you so angry, Michael Savage? Savage, do I look angry? Playboy says, a little. You definitely sound angry. Savage, well, I get worked up. First of all, I get angry because I believe I live in a country that's so effing stupid it lets every group in the world come here. Please let us in because our country is an S-hole. Fine. Let us come in on asylum because our country will kill us. No problem. Then the minute they get here, they turn around and sue the effing country, make demands on the country, won't learn the language, won't salute the flag, and all they do is disparage the country. Playboy, you've neatly boiled it down to a problem of borders, language, and culture, correct? Savage, it's my definition of how our nation is defined and why it's unraveling. It's also a framework. Here are our borders. Here is our language. Here is our culture. If you want to live in America, wonderful, but become one of us. If you want to practice your home language, do it at home or in your own community. Playboy, that sort of rabid nationalism can quickly lead to xenophobia, which in turn can, well, remember what happened in the 1930s in Germany? Savage, bull crap. That's typical left-wing horse crap. I don't even understand what they're talking about. What, I'm Hitler because I'm against illegal immigration? It makes me a racist? I would say the racists are the people who come into a country that isn't theirs and take it over and tell me I should speak their language. You go to a sporting event and they're waving the Mexican flag, not an American flag? What if my grandfather had waved the Russian flag? They would have killed him. Playboy, you wouldn't be here speaking freely on the radio every day if it weren't for your immigrant grandparents and so many millions more. Savage, not all waves of immigration are the same. Not all immigrants are the same. Not all nations of origin are the same. The times are different. My grandparents wanted to become American. Maybe they spoke their home language at home, but when they went outside, they wanted to be Americans. So I don't know what that has to do with race. I think it has to do with attitude. And by the way, I'm not talking about all immigrants, not even all the illegal immigrants. I'm talking about 30%. I've seen data that 1/3 of all prisoners in America happen to be illegal aliens, most of them from Mexico. We can't survive as a nation if we keep letting this large swath of people come across the border. There are countries that put up barriers that say you can come into the country if you have a profession we need or if you have a certain amount of money to start a business. But, and I'm continuing now with the great Playboy interview, but we can't afford to support you. We can't do that here. We say, come on in. Now, how in the world can we take in an unlimited number of people? Who's going to pay for their health care? Who's going to pay for their jail care? Who's going to pay for their legal care? Who's going to pay for their housing? The answer is the rest of us are, and that's why we're going broke. You want to help? So I go, okay, two things. Let's take California. Put a highway patrol officer in every hospital. And I'm sorry, no ticky, no washi. You're not a citizen, you can't get care. Of course, if it's catastrophic, such as an auto accident, you give them what they need. But you can't get care if you're not a citizen. I'm sorry, we can't do it anymore. On a macro scale, you can see where a society is the same as a household. And if politicians started to listen to the people who are screaming and saying, treat the nation like a household, not like a piggy bank, you can keep hitting. We'd all be better off. We can't keep raiding the piggy bank because all these outsiders want something from us. I'm just using logic. I'll continue with Michael Savage's 8,000-word interview in Playboy, which is on the internet right now, not yet at the newsstands. But I want to go back to one thing I said at the beginning, and you can be free to call at any time with any comments you may have or to do with this topic, by stating again that at the outset of the interview, the interviewer writes this, quote, Hochman spent more than 16 hours interviewing Savage, says Hochman, quote, I can't remember a more difficult interview. Savage was a fine host, but his opinions are extreme to the point of being poison. Much of the time, I hated him. He's maddeningly bullheaded and close-minded, but he was just as leery of me, he writes. Even when we were laughing, I knew he was thinking liberal vermin media. It's news to me. When we were laughing, I thought that I liked him. And you see, I'm actually a decent person. He's not. Liberals like him are the reason we have trouble in America. They lie to everybody. They lie to themselves. He actually thinks he's open-minded. He's not bullheaded when he went in with a bias like this. Let me tell you something. As a person trained at a master's degree level in anthropology, the first thing you learn before you go out and you do field work is don't inject yourself into the interview. The minute you start interviewing yourself and making yourself part of the interview, as he did, you've poisoned the interview with your own biases. I rest my case. I'll be right back.
Savage.
Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes goes.
It is the Savage Nation. Now, I'm going to talk about the Playboy interview, which came out today on the internet. It'll be in the newsstands Friday. Again, I got to say, I was shocked to see that this guy was sitting there with such hatred towards me because he didn't tell me that. I mean, it'd be one thing if he came and said to me, I really hate your politics, or I hate you, and, this is going to be an antagonistic interview, and let's go for it. So you get into a wrestling match. But the man pretended he was a nice guy and liked me. Then he goes and writes this crap saying he hated me the whole time. And then he says, even when we were laughing, I knew he was thinking liberal vermin media. I didn't think it once. I felt as though I had contacted an old friend. I felt very good about the interview. It just shows you how naive I really am. Frankly, I think it says an awful lot about him, and the paranoia and the backstabbing nature of this man is amazing to me. And he says my opinions are poison. So my opinions about stopping illegal immigration are poison, even though my opinions represent that of 75% of the American people. Let me ask you something. Whose opinions are really poison? Men like him who want the illegals to run all over us and bankrupt us even further? But look, I don't want to editorialize on the editorializing. What I want to do is read more from the article. And I want to take your calls at 1-800-449-8255. Let's take the first call. thus far? Marilyn, Nick, you're on the Savage Nation. What do you think so far?
I think Hochman, I think he's intimidated, Mike. You've got what I call the Savage Trinity. You're outspoken, independent, and intelligent. Most things that most men in the media these days are none of. And you would think that Hochman, of all people, being surrounded by beautiful women there at Playboy, would be intimidated by the women. But instead, he's intimidated by...
Well, look, the reason I agreed to the interview is he had previously interviewed George Carlin, who used a lot of four-letter words, Donald Trump, who certainly used it was a very controlled interview, and then another actor, I don't remember. He did a fairly good job, so I figured, look, if he's assuring me that they're going to be my words, how bad could it be? But look, what did he leave out is the issue. It's like everything else. What did he ask me that he didn't print that makes me look too good?
Yeah.
But now that I read what he said, that he hated me, I mean, he was sitting there in fear of me? What, is he crazy?
Did he say that, or were his words